I'm in time, yeah, Lord, I've been going through the motion. It's a means to an end, it don't seem to me. Walking around, living the dream, anytime I take a notion. Till the truth comes bubbling up so bittersweet. There's no point getting out of bed when you ain't living the dream. Like making a big old pot of coffee when you ain't got no cream. I don't need to change my strings, cause the dirt don't hurt the way I sing. Oh, I don't have to do a goddamn thing, sit around and wait to die. Well, I've been waiting on a name waitress come and take my order. Tell me all about the special day. Staring at a puddle of mud in my spoon and putting me much border. Open them circles on the paper, don't call back telling me to start today. Ain't no point getting out of bed when you ain't living the dream. Like making a big old pot of coffee when you ain't got no cream. I don't need to change my strings, cause the dirt don't hurt the way I sing. Oh, I don't have to do goddamn thing, sit around and wait to die. Oh, I don't have to do goddamn thing, sit around and wait to die.
Just to prove that we were an equal opportunity flea market, we even allowed stuff from the Texas Longhorns in here. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank my mother and dad for having me. I grew up in Odessa and left Odessa when I graduated from high school and went to school at North Texas State University, which is now University of North Texas. And there I worked a big part of my way through school working at Six Flags over Texas. And that's how I got in this business. The principals for Traders Village came to 7C Sea Life Park, where I was Director of General Services. Came with the Coca-Cola people to look at some of the beverage installations, and I found out what they were trying to do with the market. It was during the off season for us, and so I ended up making a deal with them to kind of help them organize the operation to get it open, and next thing you know, I was working for them full time. When we first opened, we were in the middle of no place. There was nothing around us. There was going to be a lot of stuff, I-20, 360, Great South, everything leading to us and the road in front of us was just small blacktop roads. And if we had 5,000 people for a weekend, if we could get 2,000 on Saturday, 3,000 on Sunday, we felt like we'd had a good weekend. I can look back on those early days when everything was definitely lean. I remember the things that we went through to get up and running. It didn't make any difference what your job description was. It was pretty much everybody was hands-on with anything that needed to be done. And we had a lot of camaraderie. We had a good group of folks to help get us started. When the market opened, we were just another flea market. But what separated us from the pack of just being another flea market initially was doing special events. And the very first thing that we did was the Indian powwow, and that got us, got our eyes wide open and said, this is what we need to be doing to kind of force feed the growth of this thing. From there, it was just a matter of coming up with ideas that we felt like that we could do. The chili cook-off, I guess, was the next big event that we did. Next year, we had our first cook-off. We had the largest first-time cook-off in the history of cook-offs, like with 46 teams. Doug Beek, who was our PR guy at the time, we decided that we needed to promote our cook-off, expose it to other people, so we created the Sac of Hockey Nation. I was the chief and Doug was the co-chief of the Sac of Hockey Nation, and we were known and feared far and near whenever we showed up because we could put on a show. And it was very, very seldom that we ever went to an event that we didn't at least place in the top 3 in showmanship. Cooking chili was kind of incidental to the whole deal. We were proud to have something that looked like chili when it was time to turn it in. Luckily, we didn't have to judge it. The World Championship Pickle Quail Egg Eating Contest came about because at the time that we started the chili cook-off, most cook-offs were one day. We wanted ours to be 2 days, a 2-day event, and so we wanted the cook-off actually to take place on Sunday when we got our biggest crowd, so we had to fill Saturday with something. And so our ad agency had a client called Continental Fowl Farms, which was in Grapevine, Texas, and we were having a brainstorming session trying to figure out the stuff that we could do, and one guy says, well, he said, I can get you all the quail eggs you want if you can use quail eggs for anything. And I said, well, yeah, give me 1,000 eggs. I had no idea. I envisioned some type of a throwing contest or anything. We got to talking to the people, and they said, oh no, you need to have an egg eating contest. Said the pickled quail eggs are really good. And so they gave us the 1,000 eggs. We pickled them. They gave us the recipe. We pickled them ourselves, and that's how the World Championship Pickled Quail Egg Eating Contest was born. We had an arsenal of probably 10 to 12 different contests that we could do. And back then, everybody got involved in it. I mean, it was a big deal. Everybody, you'd have to turn away people. Bacon frying, where you had to simulate a piece of bacon frying. Whoever did the best job of that, you were the winner. The Cousin Homer Page Invitational Eat and Run Stewed Prune Pit Spitting Contest. Tortilla flying. The lemon roll was another good one. Hat stomping. You had to use your own hat. You couldn't stomp somebody else's hat. Cook-offs in their infancy and in their heyday were one of the best places to make a fool of yourself in public and get by with it that anybody ever invented. Trudy worked for part-time for one of our dealers out here, and I actually met her by virtue of taking our bank deposits on Monday morning. I would take the bank deposits from the weekend and turn in our change order to be picked up on Friday, and our bank just happened to be the bank where Trudy worked. Then we dated and we kind of broke up. We both went into it with the thought that we were not going to get involved, not going to do anything but date, have a good time, and I found it harder and harder to understand why he wanted to date anybody besides me. Then I decided, I could look a long time before I could find somebody else as good as this woman is. She's gainfully employed, she owns her own house, she knows the value of a dollar, and most importantly, it kind of looks like she'd be willing to put up with me. So I asked her to marry me here on the grounds of Trader's Village. In front of the outhouse, in front of J.W. and Wanda Brett's booth at Trader's Village. She didn't immediately tell me yes, that I had to come on to you to think about it. He said, I think I'm going to be the person on the white horse that's going to swoop down and carry you away. And I thought he was joking, and it made me mad. And when she said she needed to think about it, I said, okay, go. She said, no, I need more time than that. And then he made the wise remark of, well, don't tell anybody that I asked you this, in case you say no, I don't want anybody to know about it. She luckily, for me, said yes, and we got married at the house. He wanted to get married before the end of the year so he could use me as a tax deduction. I balked on that, and we married January 13th, 1979. It was pretty tough in those days. I mean, worked a lot of days and a lot of nights, just, kind of burnt out, actually. And we finally just decided, you know what, we might just go to the woods. And so we did. We both quit our jobs. We moved to the woods in East Texas, and started running out of money and had to go to work. And so that's when I went into the auction business. I was in the auction business for about 17 years before I came back to Traders Village. Through a kind of a fluke conversation, found out that Traders was having some management challenges, and ended up making a deal with them. Came back in March of '97. A lot of it was just like riding a bicycle. Just fell right back into it. It was just, the biggest thing, it was just bigger and there was more of it. It was my pleasure and part of my job to be the representative for Traders Village in the majority of the different organizations that we participate in. Chamber of Commerce, we've always been very active in it. TTIA, Texas Travel Industry Association, Dallas-Fort Worth Area Tourism Council, Texas Association of Campground Owners. I was heavily involved in those. I did a fairly good job representing, so I think I got quite a bit of wall candy and shelf candy. Of course, I guess you just stay long enough by virtue of longevity, you eventually win some of that stuff. But it's been a good ride. It's been interesting. It's been good. Working for Traders Village as many years as I have, has allowed me to do pretty much the two things I enjoy most in life, and that would be to live indoors and eat on a regular basis. But it's been a pretty good trip. Flea market business can be pretty good. It's kind of like I told David Teal of TTI one time. We were having a board retreat, and so he said, "All right, well, Allan," he said, now tell me the truth." He said, "How is the flea market business?" And I said, "Well, David, I could probably sum it up like this. The flea market business is kind of like sex in your 20s and 30s. When it's good, it's great. When it's bad, it's still pretty good."